Hello, this is Lee on PublicLee speaking, and this week I'll be reviewing the book series The Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich. Rivers of London is an urban fantasy detective series. Unlike another fairly popular urban fantasy detective series, this series takes place in London, obviously. But the main character here, named Peter Grant, is not a private detective wizard, but a constable of Her Majesty's Metropolitan Police Force, with unknown and untapped talents. At the beginning of the book, there is an odd and extremely unpleasant murder, and after the preliminary investigation has been completed, Peter is part of a small group of officers assigned to guard the scene in the hours before dawn breaks. While there, he meets a new witness to the murders who cannot be brought in for questioning, as he is a ghost. The fact that Peter can see ghosts is unusual, and when he goes back the next night, he garners the attention of one Chief Inspector Thomas Nightingale. Mr. Nightingale is head of a department, of which he is the sole member, that investigates crimes of a magical or supernatural nature which threaten the Queen's peace. Whatever is going on, it is most definitely magical in nature, as there are still traces of the supernatural on the victim's headless corpse days after the murder took place. Peter is recruited, temporarily, into Nightingale's department to help discover who has committed the murder, how, and why the murderer was able to change his face during the act itself. While this is happening, Peter has to come to terms with the fact that magic exists, and that he can become a wizard. Now, I can't go into detail without spoiling a good amount of this book, and I don't want to, seeing as this is a very good book series. It's well written, the author obviously knows London, it's witty, interesting, and makes for a very good story. Also, the main character is realistically intelligent. He is extremely curious, which has led to a large stock of knowledge, but will always explain where he learned what he knows, and takes the time to explain his logical leaps. He shows how truly intelligent people think, instead of the stereotypically smart person found in media, who only possesses large memorizational ability, and can suddenly know things, as this is an example of shoddy writing and barely concealed deus ex machina. Peter will need this intelligence as he is thrust into a magical world with its own societies that inhabit London, because while these societies are magical, they are also extraordinarily dangerous. There is a reason for this danger, and it is the secondary topic of this review, which are the unspoken, or secondary, rules of society. Every society has a primary and secondary set of rules. The primary, or spoken rules, are easy to learn. They are the codified laws upon which all civilization is built, and can be found out by a simple trip to a legal library. The unspoken rules, however, are what trip up and screw over a lot of people. To use a violent example, you are not allowed to walk up to a person and punch them in the face. That's against the law and called battery. However, if a man were to walk up and punch a woman in the face, the reaction and punishment would be many times harsher than if a man were to punch a man and a woman were to punch a woman. If a woman were to punch a man, the man would be expected to ignore it, sometimes going so far as to punish the man if he tried to have the law carried out against the woman who hit him. These rules of society are never spoken aloud or codified because they are usually incredibly bigoted, as, in this case, they show an underlying sexist belief that women are far weaker than men, and create a double standard which is not supposed to exist in a society of equals. However, in American society, that is the unspoken rule, and you are expected to follow it. The danger comes when a person moves from one society to another and tries to apply the unspoken rules of the first society when dealing with a new one. To survive, they have to find a way to learn these new unwritten rules, and quickly, before they at best offend someone, and at worst end up beaten or dead through violating an unspoken rule they did not know existed. This is doubly so when dealing with a magical society full of beings that are restrained by rules that you don't know, and can, if provoked, enslave you or make you wish you were dead. Mind you, that's only if you break those rules, which you don't know exist. Fortunately, Peter is being given a crash course in dealing with the supernatural. Unfortunately, crash courses are infamous for being a bit spotty. To delve deeper into this topic for a sec, unspoken rules of society are what make up its true nature. Anyone can look up laws, but it is the hidden beliefs and expectations which give you the true character of a group. That is because, unfortunately, many laws are created that are almost never followed. A good example is that the college I go to is a dry campus, meaning the punishments for having alcohol in the dorms are extreme, but an astonishingly large number of people drink in the dorms anyways, and most of the staff turn a blind eye to it, or even drink themselves. This is because while the spoken rule is no drinking in college, the unspoken rule is everyone drinks in college. It's just one of those things that college students do. Those that violate the unspoken rules to try and uphold the spoken ones make enemies not only with the students, but with their co-workers as well, when they logically shouldn't, as they're just doing their jobs. This might not make sense, so I need to go deeper. Everyone likes to feel good about themselves, to feel just and righteous, but everyone also wants to do what matches their worldview, even if it is morally wrong. This leads to an unfortunate process wherein people create laws that sound good, with good intentions behind them, but in actuality, no one follows. While it is the rule that you can't drink on campus, women can't hit men, you can't drive faster than the speed limit, etc., unless they are done in such a flagrant disregard for the law that those whose job it is to enforce the law can't ignore it without obviously disregarding their sworn duties, the law might as well not even exist. On the other hand, secondary rules can create shadow laws of their own, like until recently in America, and still so in other countries, a girl cannot ask a guy out on a date without other women decrying her for being forward, shameless, or even a slut. As this is not an actual crime, the punishments in civilized societies are usually social in nature, usually ostracization of the offender without the person ever being told what she did wrong, because she obviously knows what she did wrong, as it is assumed that everyone in society knows all of its unspoken rules. There are also a whole host of similar offenses for men, though many are different, as these unspoken rules are many times sexist in nature. These unspoken rules are the same thing that lead to killings of daughters by their family for being dishonorable or going against the family's wishes in the Middle East, as well there is no law enforcing the father's will, and what the family does is murder most foul. By the unspoken rules, the family was justified and might never be punished for it. This is an unpleasant facet of human nature which should be rectified, but would require people to be honest with themselves, and if you've seen my Atlas Shrugged review, you'll know my opinion that people don't like being responsible and honest, and would rather do what they want while feeling good about it, even if it is in direct contradiction with the morals that they claim to hold. This is getting morose. My point is that you can't apply one society's rules to another, and Peter is forced to deal with groups of people that, for the most part, act, look, and sound human, but are most definitely not. It is only through his intellect, meager instruction from Nightingale, and his attention to detail that allow him to come from these meetings relatively unscathed. The book series is really, really good. There are 2 books in the series right now. The first is called Midnight Riot, and the second is Moon over Soho, and there's a 3rd book coming this July called Whispers Underground. This is a good series, and you should go pick it up if you like Dresden Files, urban fantasy, or good fantasy stories in general. This is Lee, publicly speaking, and signing off.